if I told you Meg Griffin, Family Guy's punching bag, is actually a criminal mastermind? Yeah, I didn't believe it either at first. But after rewatching every episode, I uncovered a shocking pattern of illegal activities that would make even Stewie blush. From blackmail to assault, Meg's rap sheet is longer than Peter's attention span. And trust me, you won't believe how much jail time she's racked up. Stick around as we unravel the dark side of Quahog's most overlooked delinquent. Picture this, a baby girl born into the Griffin family, where dysfunction is as common as Peter's beer-induced shenanigans. That's right, we're talking about Meg Griffin, the perennial punching bag of Quahog. But here's the kicker. While everyone was busy laughing at her misfortunes, they missed the warning signs of a budding criminal mastermind. Let's rewind to Meg's early years. While Stewie was plotting world domination and Brian was drowning his existential crisis in martinis, little Meg was being, well, forgotten. And I'm not talking about the occasional, oops, we left you at the grocery store, kind of forgotten. No, I'm talking about Peter forgetting her birthday. Not once, not twice, but 3 times in a row. Talk about a hat trick of parental neglect. Now, you might be thinking, so what? Kids are resilient, right? Well, not exactly. According to child psychology studies, constant neglect can seriously mess with a kid's head. It's like planting seeds of resentment, watering them with indifference, and watching them grow into a forest of behavioral issues. And Meg, she was practically living in that forest. But here's where it gets interesting. What happens when a neglected child finally snaps? In Meg's case, it wasn't a dramatic meltdown or a cry for help. No, our girl went straight for the jugular, or should I say the wallet. Meg's first act of rebellion? Stealing Lois's credit card for a shopping spree. That's right, while her family was busy ignoring her existence, Meg was busy maxing out mommy's plastic. Now, you might be thinking, that's not so bad, lots of kids act out. But here's the thing. For Meg, this wasn't just acting out. This was the first step on a slippery slope that would lead her down a path of increasingly serious crimes. It was like she got a taste of sweet, sweet revenge and decided she wanted the whole cake. But stealing a credit card? That was just the appetizer. Meg was about to embark on a full-course meal of criminal activities that would make even the most hardened Quahog cop raise an eyebrow. From petty theft to, well, let's just say things escalate quickly in the Griffin household. So buckle up, folks. We're about to take a wild ride through Meg Griffin's criminal career. And trust me, by the end of this, you'll never look at that pink-hatted, glasses-wearing girl the same way again.
Hands in the air, Goldman!
Oh my God! What are you doing?
Give me your money!
Because in the world of Family Guy, sometimes the most overlooked character is the one you should have been watching all along. Ever wonder what happens when you push someone too far? Well, Meg Griffin is about to show us. From cult member to fake lesbian, she tried it all to fit in. But what happens when being good gets you nowhere? Stick around because Meg's about to teach Quahog a lesson they'll never forget. Picture Meg walking into James Woods High. The whispers start before she even reaches her locker. Kids point and laugh, not even trying to hide their contempt. It's like she's wearing a kick me sign, but the sign is just her face. Poor Meg, always the outcast, never the cool kid. But our girl Meg, she's not one to take things lying down. Oh no, she's got a plan. Several plans, actually, and each one is more desperate than the last. Remember when she joined that cult? Yeah, that was fun. Nothing says fitting in like shaving your head and worshiping a guy named Zach. Or how about the time she pretended to be a lesbian? Because apparently, in Meg's mind, facing discrimination for your sexuality is better than facing discrimination for just being Meg. Here's the kicker, though. After all these attempts to be liked, to be accepted, Meg has an epiphany. And it's not a nice one. She realizes that being good, being kind, being herself, it gets her absolutely nowhere. It's like watching a puppy learn that the world is cruel. Except this puppy is about to bite back. Now, you might be thinking, come on, it can't be that bad. But let me hit you with some cold, hard facts. According to a study in the Journal of Adolescence, teens who face chronic bullying are more likely to develop mental health issues. And those issues, they can manifest as aggressive behaviors. It's like a twisted version of monkey see, monkey do. Except in this case, it's more like bully see, bully do, but worse. But wait, there's more. The National Center for Mental Health Promotion and Youth Violence Prevention reports that bullied teens are more likely to commit crimes. It's their way of coping with emotional pain. So, Meg's not just acting out, she's following a disturbing psychological pattern. So, what's Meg's breaking point? What turns our awkward, bullied teen into a full-fledged criminal? Well, it starts with her brother Chris. Sweet, dumb Chris. Meg realizes she's got dirt on him. The kind of dirt that could ruin his life. And instead of being a good sister and keeping his secret, she does something that shocks even herself. She blackmails him.
Mom! Chris took money out of the—
Okay.
That's right, folks. Meg Griffin, perpetual victim, just became the victimizer. And let me tell you, she likes how it feels. Power, control, respect, all the things she's been denied for years are suddenly at her fingertips. And all it took was a little blackmail. But here's the thing about crime. It's addictive. And Meg, she's just had her first taste. Blackmail might seem bad. But trust me, it's just the tip of the iceberg. Because in Meg's mind, she's finally found something she's good at. And she's not about to stop now. If you thought Meg's criminal activities were just about revenge, boy, do I have news for you. Turns out, our girl's got a romantic side, and it's about as lawful as a Quahog City Council meeting. Let's take a stroll down Meg's dating history, shall we? It's less of a walk of shame and more of a perp walk. Remember when she dated that convict? Yeah, nothing says, I have daddy issues, quite like falling for a guy behind bars. But Meg didn't stop there. Oh no, she took it up a notch when she decided to kidnap a pop star. Because nothing says true love like false imprisonment, right? Now, you might be thinking, come on, we all do crazy things for love. But there's a thin line between love and obsession in Meg's mind. And she's not just crossing it, she's obliterating it. It's like watching a train wreck in slow motion, except the train is Meg's sanity, and the tracks are her desperate attempts at finding love. But here's where it gets interesting. According to some fancy research, there's actually a link between rejection and criminal behavior. Turns out when teenagers get their hearts broken, their brains go a little haywire. A study in the Journal of Adolescence found that rejected teens are more likely to act out in delinquent ways. It's like their brains are saying, if you won't love me, I'll make you fear me. And Meg? She's the poster child for this phenomenon. Every rejection, every laugh at her expense, it's all fuel for her criminal fire. Dr. Lisa Damour, a clinical psychologist, says that the surge of hormones during puberty can make teenagers more prone to obsessive feelings and impulsive actions. In Meg's case, those impulsive actions just happen to be, illegal. But how far will Meg go for love? Well, let me tell you, it's pretty far. Remember that fugitive I mentioned? Yeah, Meg didn't just date him, she harbored him. That's right, our girl went full-on Bonnie and Clyde. Except Clyde was probably using her for a place to crash and Bonnie was, well, Meg. It's like watching a car crash in slow motion. You want to look away, but you just can't. Because with each failed attempt at love, Meg's not just breaking her own heart, she's breaking the law in increasingly shocking ways. But here's the kicker. Meg's crimes weren't just about love. Oh no, that was just the beginning. Because when you mix a desperate need for affection with a growing taste for lawlessness, you get a cocktail that's more explosive than anything you'd find in the Drunken Clam. And Meg? She was just getting started. Speaking of explosive cocktails, let's talk about the Griffin family's unique blend of dysfunction. What happens when you mix 1 part criminal mastermind with 3 parts clueless family? You get a recipe for disaster that makes the Drunken Clam look like a daycare center. But just how bad did things get before anyone noticed? Welcome to 31 Spooner Street, where child neglect isn't just a pastime, it's an Olympic sport.
If I win today, I'm going to the Olympics.
Why is this the first we're hearing about this?
And the Griffins, they're going for gold. While Meg was busy building her criminal empire, her family was, well, let's just say they weren't exactly paying attention. Picture this. Meg comes home with a black eye and a handful of stolen watches. Peter's response? Hey, Meg's finally accessorizing. Lois? She's too busy trying to keep Chris from eating the houseplants to notice. And Stewie? He's probably plotting world domination from his crib. Just another day in the Griffin household. But here's the kicker. This isn't just fictional family fun. Research shows that family dynamics play a huge role in shaping a kid's behavior. When parents are about as supportive as a wet paper bag, kids often turn to some pretty sketchy coping mechanisms. And Meg? She's coping harder than Brian after a bad breakup. So, what's the worst thing the Griffins ignored? Brace yourselves, folks. It's not pretty. Remember the day Meg brought home a poop bucket? Yeah, you heard that right. A bucket full of poop. And the family's reaction? They didn't even bat an eye. It's like they were living in some bizarro world where bringing home human waste is as normal as bringing home a report card. But let's break this down for a second. Experts say that signs of criminal tendencies in teenagers, like aggression or withdrawal, are often overlooked by parents. In the Griffins' case, they're not just overlooking, they're practically wearing blindfolds. It's like they're playing a twisted game of see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil, except the evil is their own daughter's spiral into delinquency. And here's the real gut punch. This family enablement, it's not just a Family Guy gag. Real-life cases show that when parents ignore or dismiss their kids' troubling behavior, it's like giving them a green light to keep going. It's as if the Griffins are saying, "Hey, Meg, you want to commit more crimes? Go right ahead. We'll be over here," not caring. But Meg's frustration was reaching boiling point. With every ignored cry for help, every dismissed act of rebellion, she was inching closer to the edge. The Griffins might have been blind to her transformation, but Quahog was about to get a wake-up call. And trust me, it's going to be louder than Peter's laugh after a dirty joke. Remember when Meg was just the butt of every family joke? Those were the good old days. Because what came next was a transformation so shocking. It makes Peter's stint as a pro wrestler look like a career in accounting. Buckle up, Buttercup. We're about to dive into the criminal carnival that is Meg Griffin's rebellion against, well, everything. Let's start our tour of Meg's misdeeds, shall we? Our first stop is Blackmail Boulevard, where Meg decided that family loyalty was overrated and decided to extort her own brother, Chris. I guess sibling rivalry took on a whole new meaning in the Griffin household, but Meg didn't stop there. Oh no, she was just warming up. Next on our list is her foray into the world of fugitive harboring. Because nothing says I'm a rebel quite like hiding a convicted criminal in your bedroom. I guess when you can't get a date to prom, you settle for a prison escapee, right? Now, you might be thinking, okay, that's bad, but it can't get much worse. Oh, my sweet summer child. Meg's criminal career was just hitting its stride. After a stint in the big house herself, our girl came back with a vengeance. We're talking assault, robbery, and a whole lot of family abuse. It's like she went to prison and came back with a PhD in thuggery. But here's the thing. This isn't just some random TV character going off the rails. Meg's descent into criminality follows a disturbingly real pattern. Studies show that untreated trauma, like the constant abuse and neglect Meg faces, can lead to escalating criminal behavior. It's like Meg's taking all those years of being the family punching bag and turning them into a blueprint for revenge. And let's not forget about the psychological impact of repeat offending. Each crime Meg commits isn't just a standalone act. It's another step down a very slippery slope. Research shows that juvenile delinquents often progress to more severe crimes as they age. In Meg's case, she's not just sliding down that slope, she's sledding at full speed. So, what's Meg's most serious offense? Well, it's hard to pick just one when her rap sheet is longer than Peter's list of pop culture references. But if we had to choose, it might be her violent behavior after prison. Beating up Peter and using Lois's shirts as toilet paper? That's some next-level family dysfunction right there. Now, for the million-dollar question, how much jail time are we looking at for Meg's criminal spree? Let's just say if Meg were a real person, she'd be looking at a prison sentence longer than one of Brian's novels. We're talking years, folks, possibly decades. But here's the real kicker. Is Meg really the villain in this story? Or is she a product of her environment, a monster created by years of neglect and abuse? As we close the curtain on Meg's criminal carnival, that's the question we're left pondering. Because in the twisted world of Family Guy, sometimes the line between victim and villain is blurrier than Peter's vision after a night at the Drunken Clam. From outcast to criminal mastermind? It sounds like the plot of a bad TV movie, but for Meg Griffin, it's just another Tuesday. Let's pull back the curtain on Quahog's most unlikely crime boss. Remember when Meg was just the awkward girl everyone loved to ignore? Well, those days are long gone. Our girl has traded in her beanie for a crown, and Quahog's criminal underworld is her new kingdom. It's like she took all those years of being invisible and turned them into a superpower. Picture this: Meg Griffin strutting down the streets of Quahog, and hardened criminals actually crossing to the other side to avoid her. It's not just that they're scared of her, they're terrified. The girl who couldn't even get a seat at the cool kids' table in high school is now running the whole dang criminal cafeteria. But what's Meg's ultimate goal? Is it money, power, respect? Or is it something darker, like revenge on a world that never gave her a chance? As her empire grows, so does the anticipation. What's Meg's endgame? We got our answer in a shocking act that cemented Meg's status as Quahog's top criminal. Picture this: the annual Quahog Clam Festival. Everyone's gathered around the main stage. Suddenly, the mayor starts reading from a script, his hands shaking. He's declaring Meg Griffin the official first daughter of Quahog and handing her the key to the city. And there's Meg, smirking as she takes it, knowing she blackmailed her way to the top. But here's the thing about criminal empires. They're like sandcastles on the beach. Impressive, sure, but one big wave and it's all washed away. And in Quahog, that wave could come from anywhere. Her family, the police, or even her own inner demons. Because, let's face it, you can't outrun your past forever, even if you're wearing really expensive stolen shoes. Ever wondered what happens when a family realizes their punching bag has become a wrecking ball? The Griffins are about to find out. Picture this: the Griffin family dinner table with one chair ominously empty. Again, it's time to witness the moment when Meg's transformation from doormat to criminal mastermind finally sinks in for her family. The scene unfolds like a slow-motion car crash. Peter's stuffing his face, Lois is nagging Chris about his grades, and Stewie's plotting world domination from his high chair. But there's an elephant in the room, and its name is Meg. As the family goes through their usual dysfunctional dinner routine, they can't ignore the growing unease. It starts with little things. Lois notices Meg's room is always locked now. Chris mentions he hasn't seen her at school in weeks. Even Brian, between sips of his martini, admits he's heard some unsettling rumors around town. But it's not until Peter finds a wad of cash and a gun hidden in the couch cushions that the full weight of the situation hits them. The dawning horror on their faces is almost comical. Almost. Because as they start connecting the dots of Meg's criminal activities, they realize they're not just dealing with teenage rebellion anymore. This is full-blown, law-breaking, community-terrorizing criminality. Now, you might think a family would band together in a crisis like this. But the Griffins aren't exactly the Brady Bunch. Instead, they start pointing fingers faster than you can say giggity. So how will the family confront Meg? Will they stage an intervention, call the cops? Or will they do what they do best and pretend everything's fine? Whatever they choose, one thing's for sure: it's not going to be pretty. When Meg finally shows up, the family's attempt at intervention is about as effective as using a water gun to put out a forest fire. Their rehearsed speeches and fake concern are met with a chilling response from Meg. She doesn't yell or cry. She just looks at them, a cold smile on her face, and says, "You're about 18 years too late for this." As Meg walks out, leaving her family stunned into silence, one question hangs in the air. Is it too late to save Meg from herself? Or more importantly, is it too late for the Griffins to save themselves from the monster they created?